We're back.
Yes.
The Syndicate.
Yep, this is 50.com. Maya Hadid.
The lovely Jay.
Randa Love.
And Mona.
Yeah. Mona Scott Young is on the couch tonight. We were just talking about your book.
Mhm.
Yes.
Is it gorgeous?
Well, I'm saying my book like it's all figured out. I just had one meeting.
Oh, it's
Alright.
your book.
It's my book.
It's coming out. Okay, so what is it? What do you think that you want to?
You know, I think that there are a lot to be learned from kind of experiences, right? Other people's experiences. So I don't know so much that I need it to be specific to the industry. I mean, that's my experience. But I think you can take something from someone's kind of general journey and apply it to wherever, you are and whatever it is you're trying to do. So really what I want to be able to do is just kind of tell my story, but tell it in a way that it provides a certain level of information and maybe guidance and tips. And if someone can take that and say, I'm not in the music business, but I get that and I can use this philosophy, this thought process to what I'm doing, then that's kind of what I want to accomplish. And I wanted to, kind of cover different areas because aside from, having been successful, in business and people want to know about that, I think that there are also a lot of women who want to know, like, how do I balance it all?
Right.
How do I do it? I'm a mom as well, and listen, I by no means have this all figured out. It's still kind of a work in progress for me every day.
Right.
But I think having access to the information and hearing somebody else's stories and going, okay, then I don't feel like such a horrible mother, and I don't feel like such a horrible wife, I think that that's helpful.
Right. No, definitely.
No, it is. Definitely.
I had a young woman recently reach out to me and say, I really want to talk to you, and I get that sometimes, and it usually pertains to business. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm here, what do you want to talk about? And it had everything to do with, I'm trying to figure out how to have a relationship. Like, I can't meet the right, I'm in the music business, I'm not meeting any guy. And I'm like, seriously?
Welcome
I'm like,
to
welcome to
I'm
our
like, this is what you want to talk about? I'm like, oh, sure, we
No,
can talk about that all day long.
Oh my goodness.
But I never really realized that there's really nobody to kind of look to or talk to about that. And that's just as important. And that's something that I had to learn myself. So even as I was coming up on the music side of things, they were a ton of mentors, but like I tease Sylvia all the time, I don't even try, you weren't taking my calls back then. Now we're, BFFs, but at the time when I really would have loved to have somebody that I could call to say like, how do you do this and what is it, am I crazy? And there really wasn't anybody there, so I try as much as I can to, provide that kind of information and to be a mentor, but shoot, aside from the business side of things, life, because that's what's real.
Yeah.
All this shit, it comes and goes.
Is your husband in the business as well? Or were
No,
you able
he's
to?
not. My husband was in the business, actually.
Oh.
He was in the business, and we actually broke my cardinal rule. I'm like, no, don't eat where you shit. And he used to do personal protection for Buster.
Oh.
And that's how we met.
Oh.
Exactly. And at first, of course, I was like, get out of here. And then, having kind of met guys and being singularly focused and not having, the luxury of dating and getting to know. I also have a very strange sense of humor, so it's all about the fact that he made me laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he still makes me laugh 14 years later. So, yeah, we hooked up and were together for years and had babies, and one day our son was like, wait a minute. Your last name is Scott, Daddy, you're young, and we're Scott Young. Please don't tell me you guys are not married. And we were like, oh shit,
Wow.
the kid is up. And we decided at that point to get married, so we've only been married 5 years.
Okay. So now you mentioned managing Buster.
Yes.
Who else do you have?
Well, right now I have Missy Elliott, and let me tell you a little bit about the company first and what my kind of focus was as I branched out. The thing for me with Violator, we grew into a very big company and we had a ton of clients, right? But we had a great infrastructure in place and we had great people and day-to-day managers that could handle kind of the nitty-gritty ins and outs of it. Because for me, it was never about just being able to say we manage somebody and throw them up on a roster and not being able to service them properly. Management is a very hands-on personal business. You're taking someone's hopes, their dreams, their lives into your hands and you're telling them, like, I'm going to accomplish this for you. You can't take that lightly, So when I started doing Mona Me, I knew that management was going to be the core business, but I also knew that there were tons of other things that I wanted to do. So I, had to pare down my roster and then kind of pick and choose as I went forward very carefully because it had to be something, one, that I totally believed in, understood, knew that I could deliver on, but also had the potential to kind of cross mediums and do other things, because I really wanted to become a force in the television producing world. I want to produce films, and I'm currently, in development on a couple of projects there. Branding was always something that came naturally to me that I enjoyed doing, so I wanted to further explore that arena. And I wanted to be able to give more of myself to my family, because I missed probably the first 5 years of my son's life. It's a blur for me. And that's something that I'll never get back. I'll manage other clients, I'll be successes in other areas. I'll never be able to get back that time that I lost, And so I wanted to create an infrastructure that would allow me to do what I know I do really well, which is manage. Expand into the areas that I wanted to get into, but still have time for me.
Right.
Because that's something that, in the book I'll talk about, and that I always want to stress to people, because success is great and all, but, when all those sayings, like you can't take it to the grave with you, all that shit is rooted in reality,
Right.
That's not life,
Right.
So, for me, I wanted to be in a place where I was comfortable. I had just enough that I could service it properly, do a great job at it, because reputation is key for me. Being able to look my clients in the eye and know that I'm able to give them what they need, being able to look at clients, and know that I'm doing a good job for, my roster with them, and being able to go home. Like the other day I was on the phone and my daughter had stubbed her toe and she was like, Mommy, and I'm like, I'm on the phone. She's like, Mommy, what's more important? Kissing my toe or being on the phone right now? What's more important?
You're like,
And I had to be like, excuse me, can you hold 1 second while I kiss my daughter's toe? It's like, balance. It's all about balance.
It's hard though, especially in hip hop. This is especially at this time in hip hop where it's all the illusion of the image and how much you have and what shoes you're wearing. People forget, okay, there's actually kids out there that don't even have shoes.
Exactly.
And
it's great that you said that, because I'll tell you one thing, that damn Haiti earthquake was a life-altering, life-sobering experience for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's it puts everything in perspective. We live in a bubble. You know what I'm saying, in this industry. And we take that bubble for granted. People don't live like this. They don't do what we do. It isn't about the parties and the lifestyle and the clothes and the brands. There are people out there trying to figure out where their next meal is coming from.
Yes.
And we have a tendency to forget that. I mean, we lend ourselves to a concert here and there. We do a little something. We're like, okay, I feel good.
Yeah.
I did my good deed. I can move, go back to the Fendi store.
Yes.
But it's very, true that we have to put things in perspective. So the one thing that I've never kind of allowed myself to do is drink Kool-Aid.
Right.
It's like the hype is part of the game. It's part of what I do for my clients. It's part of the business that I'm in. But it's not part of who I am.
Right.
And hopefully, that integrity kind of stays with me and shows through, because you just can't go through life in this, fantasy that we live in, that is this business, because
Life's a party.
there's a whole world out there. There's a
Yeah.
whole world out there, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. But can we go, okay, just because there's the whole 50 Ja Rule thing that just kind of emerged again.
Yes.
And were you there, because I know you managed 50, right? At
Right,
Violator.
Violator.
Were you there when the whole Ja Rule Murder Inc.
The
thing
beef situation.
exploded with 50?
Well, what are you referring to exactly?
Well, okay, let's say when he
Where's
got,
my lawyer?
I know. When he got stabbed by those 3 guys, Herb Gotti being Black Child, and I forgot the other guy, but you got, were you, how, I guess, involved were you in his decision-making process of going hard at Ja?
Well, let me say this about 50. 50, no, and I'm saying it in the best possible way. He is probably one of the most brilliant strategists I've ever met. I love the way his mind is sexy to me. Never mind what his body looks like, his mind is sexy to me. We used to have the best conversations, because I love someone with a very clear point of view about what they want to do and how they're going to get it done. And that's 50 all day long. You know what I'm saying? No one can take credit for 50 Cent for 50.
Right.
I will say that to anybody's face, because he had a very clear blueprint and he was sticking to his plan. You know, so with that said, our conversations were always about the business and always about what he was trying to accomplish and, you know, how he was going to go about doing it. And I loved, you know, hearing him talk about kind of like his moves. You know, he was very, very strategic in his thinking. And he still is. Oh, absolutely. You know, all day long. And everything had a purpose. Even everything he said and the way he said it and why he said it and who he said it to, it all had a purpose. Don't think anything was, you know, for granted. You couldn't take anything for granted with him. So I always definitely, you know, admired that about him. But listen, the hip hop game is full of beefs and ups and downs, and it's funny to me because the same dudes that'll shoot at each other will do business together tomorrow. There's a check in it, you know. And I think 50 navigates those waters very well. I never really got involved with that stuff, you know. Listen, my closest experience is that I was lying out on my couch, like out to here when I was pregnant, and I heard pop, pop, pop.